The question emerges, is it all about principle, ambition, or political survival? And helping us answer is political analyst Dr Ongama Mtimka from the Nelson Mandela University. I'm not sure what you were expecting, Ongama. You have spoken about this. Of course, we were trying to foreshadow what might come out of this announcement today. A lot of people expecting that there would be some talk of a new party. But I'd like maybe just a broad assessment, a topographical view, if you would, Ongama, on today's press conference and why he decided to speak out at this moment.
I think among the options you were searching for there, Iman, I think one of them is path finding. We must remember that Floyd is not here completely out of his own choosing. It arose from the succession politics of the economic freedom fighters. And I think that the decision to join, the option to join MK was important in his decision-making about what he does with the brutality of the succession politics of the economic freedom fighters. And though some of us may accuse him of haste, I think that we must judge each decision based on the political context in which it was made. So my view here is that this is a consequence of somebody that is trying to redefine his political life outside of the political home he was for about 10 years. And I think that a combination of haste and wanting to deal with ambiguity or not being comfortable with ambiguity sees him venturing into MK party, which he could have, if he took time, he could have anticipated that this is how it was going to go. Many of us, and myself included, stated that whether or not he stays long in MK was not going to be a function of whether or not he's got talent to succeed there, but was going to be always a function of to what extent the Zumas were going to allow the building of an organization in ways that threaten their dynasty. And I think the outcome shows that the Zumas are not ready yet to allow MK party to grow organizationally in ways that actually challenge their power.
But it sounds, if I have to distill it all, Ongama, like you're saying, he's politically wet behind the ears.
Look, I wouldn't put it that way. Politicians have got to survive. This is what he's done for almost all of his professional life. I think that it would be good for him to, slow down a little and apply his mind to all the options and then make the right call. And I think, in fact, part of him coming into, the public, coming to the public today to make some announcement it was out of the feeling that he has to deal with the political storm and the fallout of being chased out of a party 6 months or hardly, 6 months after, the EFF conference. So there's a sense that he felt that he needs to come in the public space and say something. But him not announcing, or fully anyway, the formation of a political party, I think it's learning from the recent experience that he doesn't have to rush. He can, deal with the fallout and come out strong and as somebody with options, while at the same time not entangling himself to a decision that a few months down the line is going to, embarrass him or leave his credibility being questioned, which is already, being questioned at the moment.
Well, you foreshadowed my next question, because it is, do you believe that Shivambu's political brand has credibility after being expelled from the ANC Youth League, sidelined in the EFF, which today he's calling a cult, which he seems seemingly comfortable to be a part of for almost a decade? What happened with the MK and his political fortunes there? are we seeing the horizon of a political reinvention fatigue? I mean, how long does the public go along on these intense journeys with someone like Floyd Shivambu?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think there'll be mixed feelings. Remember that he's got some constituents within MK Party and also within the economic freedom fighters. So part of the thinking on his part is how does he capitalize on whatever political capital he may have in those two parties and in the broader populace. And I think that this experience is going to be a finding out experience, not in a Gen Z way that finding out. I think I think it's a fact-finding mission that may be that may help him decide where he wants to go. From a credibility point of view, obviously, a lot of people are questioned the very joining of MK Party after he had been a fierce opponent of former President Jacob Zuma. Being fired from the Youth League was actually good for as far as his credibility was concerned, because they were being fired for a radical agenda, for an agenda to topple former President Jacob Zuma's emerging empire. And so that was good. Leaving from the EFF did affect how people see him within the EFF, but it was always known that the EFF was straddled somewhere between democratic centralism and a fiefdom. So again, I think when he fell out with Julius Malema out of succession politics, there was an acceptance that still the political choices that he faced, were a predicament that wasn't easy to deal with. Joining MK for me was a big credibility issue, but also a survival, strategy, because as soon as he joined MK, it's almost like the VBS and EFF, challenges disappeared. I've hardly seen that thing come to the fore again. And it looks like it was a scandal that was tied both to his personality or his person and the EFF. And it kind of fizzled out after he joined MK. So on one level, it was not a great decision that he made to join MK. On another, in terms of the political survival of the time, it made some sense, but people are going to look across and look at how Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is handling the matter, and say there's a more measured, slow approach. Because remember, he's a credible politician himself and hasn't allowed short-term reprieve in terms of political attitudes towards him to determine or to tarnish how he is seen. But Floyd took that risk, and now he has to actually deal with the consequences.
And here's an interesting development. He says he's going to remain a member of Umkhonto weSizwe Party while consulting on this new political project. We know Jacob Zuma is standing on that same foundation. What do you make of this?
I think that was a cheeky ploy to sort of kind of get back at with President Zuma, because it's quite clear he's left the party the same way that former President Zuma left the ANC and talked bad about the ANC. So I think this was something slipped in there to kind of say, well, you deal with that.
But, can someone credibly do both these things, just to tease out that theme a bit further, because it goes to political accountability. It goes to coherence in South African politics.
Yeah, so believe it or not, there is a cohort of people who seem to buy into that idea. I mean, if we look at how senior people within MK Party talked about Zuma's leaving of the ANC while fighting to remain, and he formed MK Party and was fighting to remain a member, and how many were prepared to go and march at at Luthuli House for Zuma's hearing as members of MK Party. So it doesn't make sense to you and I, but there's a number of people to whom that is a legitimate political action. I don't know. I just simply cannot understand it.
So I want to talk about, this fake intelligence report. And as I was discussing with Zianda Ngcobo a little bit earlier, this is, a theme that's not new in South African political discourse when it comes to, major figures. Jacob Zuma, for example, as well, in that just post-Zondo Commission moment around the former crime intelligence boss Richard Mdluli and a plot around him. We do know that it can be quite damaging to have these aspersions cast on someone's character and the political impact that it can have, further on. What does it say, that theme that he's invoked inside the MK party, along with other, things that he mentioned around how much money is being siphoned away from the party on a monthly basis? How do you read how corroded the MK is internally based on what he said today?
The fact of the matter is that there was a fallout between Floyd Shivambu and Dr Zuma and the Zumas collectively. And something needed to be found in Zuma's brand of politics to justify acting against him without appearing to be siding with his daughter. I think that's the bottom line. So vintage Zuma finds something that is going to be accepted by the rank and file membership as legitimate political action. And if it's an intelligence report by about some acts of witchcraft, in that, the organizational culture, the political brand of MK Party, that is perfectly acceptable.
Ongama, who said may we always live in interesting times, almost as a threat, not as something to look forward to. But thank you so much. Certainly a lot has happened today, and we'll continue to watch how Floyd Shivambu navigates his own political future, and in fact what the party itself is going to do with what he said today. Dr Ongama Mtimka just helping us understand a bit more deeply the waxing and waning fortunes of the former SG of MKP, and this is Floyd Shivambu.